The Eagles are gearing up for war, and the Rams are already sweating. Saquon Barkley is back, the offense is heating up, and practice this week in Philly felt like a warning shot to the entire NFC. But here's the twist, it's not just Barkley the Rams have to fear. The Eagles are unlocking weapons everywhere, and this Sunday could be the start of something explosive. The Philadelphia Eagles walked onto the practice field this week with one mission: get ready to punish the Rams. And guess what? The best news Eagles fans could hope for is here: Saquon Barkley is back. His return instantly changes everything for this offense. You can feel the energy in practice, you can see the confidence building, and the Rams are already panicking. Their number one goal this week? Stop number 26 at all costs. But here's the problem for LA: when you stack your defense to slow down Barkley, you leave yourself open to the other killers on this roster. Devonta Smith is starting to look like he's ready to explode, and some coaches around the league believe he could cause even more problems than A.J. Brown in this matchup. That's terrifying news if you're wearing blue and gold on Sunday. And then there's Nick Sirianni, who promised more explosive plays, and he wasn't bluffing. The Eagles are coming in with a plan to stretch the field and make defenses regret every single mistake. Even Jordan Mailata got in on the action this week, firing back at critics and showing that this team has had enough of the outside noise. This is a group with a chip on its shoulder, ready to prove the doubters wrong. Yes, the Rams are 2-0. Yes, they've been talking all week about revenge for what Philly did to them last season. But deep down, they know the truth: this Eagles team is stronger, faster, and hungrier than the one that embarrassed them in LA. And now they're about to walk into the storm. Eagles fans, I've got to ask you, how confident are you going into this matchup? Do you think Barkley's return is the key to another statement win? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's see where the confidence level is at. The Eagles made a roster move this week that might not make headlines, but it says a lot about how this team is preparing for the battles ahead. Philadelphia brought Kenyon Green back to the active roster. Now, don't expect to see him out there on Sunday. This feels more like a depth move, a little insurance at guard, especially with Landon Dickerson dealing with some bumps and bruises. He's fine, but the Eagles clearly want protection just in case. Green probably stays a healthy scratch, but the message is clear: this team is stacking reinforcements for the long haul. And now for the real good news: the injury report looks brighter than it has in weeks. Jalen Carter, Dallas Goedert, and Tanner McKee all returned in some capacity. Carter is still nursing that shoulder from training camp, but he's fighting through it. McKee finally looks ready to bounce back from that fractured thumb. And the headline of the day? Dallas Goedert is back. This is massive. Goddard himself told reporters he already wanted to suit up against the Chiefs, but the staff held him back. Now he feels ready, and the Eagles' offense just got a serious weapon back in the mix. His presence isn't just about helping Jalen Hurts in the passing game, it's also about balance. Because let's be real, the Eagles' ground game hasn't been its usual dominant self. Think about this: Saquon Barkley is averaging just 3.7 yards per carry so far this year. Compare that to his monstrous numbers against the Rams last season: 7.9 yards per carry in the playoffs, and an insane 9.7 yards per carry in the regular season. That's why the Rams are panicking. They got run over by Barkley before, and now they know they have to sell out just to slow him down. But here's the thing: when you load up your defense to stop Saquon, you leave yourself vulnerable everywhere else. With Goddard back and drawing attention, the Rams' defense is about to be pulled apart piece by piece. And if they thought one man could tackle Saquon by himself? Forget it. It's going to take all 11, and even then, he's still breaking tackles and dragging defenders. That's why they call him 2K. This matchup has green light game written all over it for Barkley. A weak Rams run defense. A fired-up offensive line. And the return of one of the most reliable tight ends in football. Everything is lining up for Philly to unleash Saquon in Week 3. Do you believe this is the week Barkley explodes and finally puts up monster numbers? Or do you think the Rams can hold him back again? Drop your predictions below. I want to know how confident you are. The Rams have been spending this entire week trying to figure out one thing: how to stop number 26. They know he's a game wrecker, and they're throwing everything at him. But while the Rams are locked in on the run game, there's another storm brewing for Philly. Let's shift to the passing game, because right now, that's where the Eagles are struggling most. And this is where fans should be both worried and hopeful. Here's the good news first: Devonta Smith was a full participant in practice on Wednesday and Thursday, even after tweaking that back issue in the Chiefs game. Seeing him back on the field is huge, because when Smith is healthy, the Eagles' offense always feels more dangerous. But here's the part that stings. Through 2 weeks, Smith has only been targeted 9 times. Take away that 128-yard catch against Kansas City, and he's sitting with under 40 receiving yards this season. That's not what fans expect from a receiver of his caliber. And while A.J. Brown's lack of involvement has been the headline, Smith's situation has been just as frustrating. When you dig deeper, the problem becomes clear. Last season, Smith's route tree had him moving all over the field, especially across the middle. But this year? The chart shows almost no routes crossing the middle at all. He's being boxed into limited patterns that don't let him shine. That screams coaching and scheme issues, not just execution. Even Jalen Hurts stepped up and admitted it's on him to get this offense moving. But watching Smith barely touch the ball feels like the Eagles are leaving one of their biggest weapons holstered. The truth is simple: if Devonta Smith isn't being unleashed, this offense is holding itself back. Backhand index pointing right. What do you think, Eagles fans? Is this really a play-calling problem, or do you put the blame on Jalen Hurts for not forcing the ball to his stars? Drop your thoughts below, I want to hear where you stand. Jalen Hurts stood in front of reporters this week and didn't point fingers at anyone else. He looked straight ahead and said, "It's on me." That's what you want to hear from your quarterback, the general of this team taking full accountability. He admitted he has to orchestrate better, make smarter decisions, and squeeze every ounce of opportunity the Eagles get. And you could feel that weight in his voice. But here's the truth: this isn't just about Hurts. The Eagles' passing game right now looks trapped inside a box. The route trees? Way too conservative. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are running patterns that don't maximize their talent. It feels safe, predictable, and easy to defend. And if Philly doesn't evolve, it's going to hold them back against elite defenses. Now, let's talk about the explosive plays, or the lack of them. Last season, under Brian Johnson, the Eagles ranked middle of the pack in big plays over 20 and 40 yards. Kellen Moore brought a slight improvement, but the jump wasn't nearly enough. This is Philly. We're talking about an offense built on firepower. Being average in explosive plays isn't acceptable. Nick Sirianni himself admitted it: the Eagles need to be more explosive. He's right. You can't keep inching your way down the field every drive. Sooner or later, you need the deep shots, the screens that break open, the runs that flip the field in an instant. Explosive plays don't just add yards, they add fear into the defense's heart. And here's where fans should feel torn. On one hand, the Eagles are winning. On the other, anyone watching can see the offense isn't firing at its true potential. The talent is there. The weapons are there. But the chemistry between scheme and execution? Still missing. This Sunday might tell us if the Eagles are ready to break out of this cage and finally unleash the offense fans have been waiting for. Backhand index pointing right. Eagles fans, what do you think? Is this a coaching problem, or does Hurts need to start forcing those big plays himself? Let me know in the comments how confident you are in this offense finding its true identity. It's only week 2. That's the message coming from inside the Eagles locker room. The season is long, and these players know it. Last year, the Birds didn't even find their true offensive identity until October. They sat at 2-2 after 4 weeks, and everyone outside was panicking, but inside, they stayed patient, and the storm eventually came. That's the kind of growth they're betting on again. The expectations are massive, because everyone knows what this roster is capable of. But this is a new season, a slightly different team, and an offense led with new wrinkles. That doesn't just click overnight. It takes time. And right now, Philly is still building toward the version of themselves that can dominate December and January. But here's what might come sooner than later: unleashing Jalen Hurts. In Week 1 against Dallas, he gashed the Cowboys for 62 yards on the ground. In Week 2 against Kansas City? Just 15 yards. The difference wasn't his legs, it was the way KC schemed to shut him down. This week, against the Rams, the lanes could be there again. Don't be surprised if Hurts uses his legs far more often, not just scrambling, but on designed quarterback runs. That's when this offense becomes almost impossible to defend. The Eagles also have their secret weapon, the Tush push. Call it a rugby play, call it unfair, call it whatever you want. In Philly, it's not just a play. It's an art form. The timing, the coordination, the power from the offensive line, nobody else can execute it the way this team does. And this Sunday, after weeks of media whining about banning it, expect Sirianni to call it again and again, just to prove a point. Jordan Mailata summed it up best: if other teams can't run it, that's their problem. We can. The Eagles' offense isn't fully unlocked yet. But once Hurts' legs are unleashed, once the run game mixes with the unstoppable Tush push, and once the passing attack finds its rhythm, this unit could look unstoppable. Backhand index pointing right, Eagles fans, let me ask you, should the Birds lean harder into Jalen Hurts' legs right now, or save that weapon for later in the season when defenses are worn down? Every time the Eagles line up for the Tush push, the entire NFL loses its mind. Announcers complain. Media members cry foul. Rival fans scream that it's unfair. But let's be real, it's not magic, it's execution. As Jordan Mailata said best, any team can do this. Why don't they? He's right. 31 other franchises could try it, but they don't have this offensive line, they don't have Jalen Hurts, and they don't have the perfect timing that Philly has drilled over and over again. That's why the play works. That's why it breaks defenses. And that's why the league wants to ban it. Not because it's unstoppable in theory, but because the Eagles are the only team that can run it like this. Some people are saying Philly should back off, run it less, avoid the spotlight. Absolutely not. This week's game against the Rams is too important. Early playoff positioning is on the line. The Birds are chasing a 3-0 start, and every inch matters. If the Tush push gets you first downs, if it gets you touchdowns, then run it until the defense stops it, which they won't. The NFL can ban it next year. Fine. But right now? It's a weapon. And you don't put away your best weapon just because the media is crying. So here's the bottom line: keep running it. Run it until LA has no answers. Run it until the scoreboard tilts green and white. Run it until the haters have nothing left to say. Because in Philadelphia, winning will always matter more than outside noise. Backhand index pointing right, Eagles fans, what do you think? Should the Birds keep shoving it in the league's face with the Tush push, or save it for when they really need it most?